Rolling. Welcome to Word of Mouth. I'm Cole Eddins, and I love Hawaii.
Welcome to Word of Mouth. I'm Stephen Peacock, and I love Oak Mountain Prez.
Okay.
Welcome to Word of Mouth. My name is Dave. I'm from Chicago.
Dave Domesic, live on the podcast. He happens to look identical to Myres today, too. It's kind of crazy. Also, Cole, you know, you're the one who sent in the complaint about how long the intro music went. Is this a good time? Should it roll for like 20 more seconds? 10?
I think just a few more.
Okay.
I think also this song is really peaceful, whereas the other ones have been like more.
Yeah, like that kind of vibe. Yeah. This band is called Loving, and they're a great band. I've been listening to them a lot. So today's episode is sponsored by them. Sure.
Loving.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, somebody legitimately, I can't remember who it was. Somebody like legitimately had a great marketing idea for us. And I was like, oh, this is something I'd actually want to do. Because I don't want to do like hey, or do you need counseling? Go to BetterHelp. I don't want to do that like a lot of podcasts do. Or I don't want to like a voice podcast.
I would never, I would argue that we should never do something like that.
Yeah. I think it was, no, this is what it was. It was Whammy. We should ask Mitch if he would give us like a bag of coffee a month or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be his payment for marketing.
Yeah.
And then we would just drink it and talk about how amazing it was on the podcast.
Cool.
So here's our official inquiry to you, Maddie and Mitch, CEO and co-CEO, co-CEO of Whammy. Whammy Coffee.
Whammy.
I'll go ahead and do it right now. Whammy Coffee. They don't have a space yet, but we're on the boots on ground looking for one. They don't have one, but we're gonna find one soon for them.
Soon.
But they serve coffee via bags. So go ahead and look them up. Whammy, WHAMMY, Whammy Coffee. I think that's their handle on Instagram. Their username.
Right.
Two words that people don't know what they mean a lot: handle and Avi. Those are, I don't know where those words came from, but Avi's is like an avatar. That's what Twitter called profile pictures forever. I know that's where that one came.
Interesting.
And then handles, I don't know where that came from. That's
I
just
don't know
the
why they're called handles.
Look it up, producer Myres.
That's how you grab some.
Myres got his.
You grab
some.
You pull them, their profile, your face.
Mm.
You grab your handle.
That's also like Xbox user. Was it
Gamer tag.
Gamer tags? No, that wasn't handles. Gamer tag. I remember that.
I was a XM Monster 57.
Let's
I
go.
made it when I was in 5th grade. I thought if you put X before something and then a number after, it made it cooler. And I literally told Sam that when he was making his. I was like, no. The
It's kind of like
is like X.
Lil Uzi Vert song, EXO Tour Life, but it's a 3 at the end.
Exactly.
It's kind of the same thing.
Basically the same thing. Yeah.
That's a great song. I listened to that song while I was ATVing in Hawaii, which I don't know if you forgot earlier. I said I was Cole and I love Hawaii. I just got back from Hawaii yesterday.
Steven, the world traveler.
We literally dropped the bag. We've been taking this on the road everywhere. I should have taken this equipment and done like a Shane
family cruise.
Yeah, like a family cruise
Yeah.
podcast. My brother Seth would have just absolutely taken over that podcast, but it would have been funny to do like in Maui or something like that. I don't know. Or from the cruise ship. It was crazy. Oh, did you figure out the handle thing?
A 200-year history of the handle.
Are you kidding me?
We've been using the word handle to mean title or pseudonym for quite some time. As far back as the 19th century, someone who earned a designation like sir or doctor was said to have a handle by his name. But if the esteemed knight or doctor went by Skip, he would be going by his childhood handle or nickname.
Interesting.
In the 1970s, the term came in handy when the use of Citizens Band radio exploded among commercial truck drivers. In the midst of a national imposed speeding limit and fuel shortages, truckers used their CB radios to communicate under assumed call signs, which they dubbed handles.
It literally comes from truckers being like, "This is Big Hog, signing off."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but also just the etymology of like it's something to grab on. Like I'm thinking the government needing something to like grab onto to figure out who a person was. Like maybe that's I don't know, like a sir or like a miss.
Yeah.
That's like a way to understand who someone is. It's a way to get a handle of them. I don't know.
As a public username, a handle often doubles as a login credential. Most social media platforms formally refer to it as a username instead of a handle, but not all usernames are handles.
Well, this is pretty confusing.
Yep.
So anyways, we just have more questions than answers now.
Well, thanks, Internet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elon Musk.
I think it's
Yeah.
basically like your display.
You know what I
name.
learned the other day?
Ah,
Whenever I was in Kauai, because I just went to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
flex number 3.
Hawaii counterflex.
And no, only for
Hawaii flex
marriage.
counter.
All right.
Hawaii flex counter. Ding. We went to this piece of land that we ATV'd on. And that was where I listened to the Lil Uzi Vert song "EXO Tour Life."
Did
I was
you
funny.
actually listen to it there?
Yeah, we like got in the ATV, or it was like a razor. It was like one of those like little cart ATV things. I don't know what those are called. They call them side by sides. I'd never heard that phrase before, but anyways, we got into it, and genuinely, this razor was like unbelievable. It had a better sound system and a better like whatever that's called tech system in that than it does in like my vehicle, my actual like car.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. It had Bluetooth, so we hooked up to it, and I was like, Gracie, like, what do you want to listen to? And she was like, rap for sure. I was like, what? And I've never seen in my life, I have never seen my wife act the way she did whenever she was driving that, and there was like just vulgar rap going on. It was hilarious.
That's really
Like,
funny.
I feel like Gracie's such a timid person, and she was like, she was just like, like driving it. It was so funny.
That's awesome.
But
How did y'all just pull up like rap caviar?
Yeah.
she
Was it,
has
like,
a
Spotify.
oh, wait. What did we? She has a running playlist that she has like a bunch of like rap on, and then I had a playlist from like high school. I can't remember what it was called though. But anyway, I found a playlist with a bunch of rap on it from like way back in the day that I had as well. Because we were in the middle of nowhere, so it had to be downloaded. So her and I both had downloaded playlists full of rap music, which is
Good.
so random considering that's probably by far our least listen to genre of music.
And
But
you hate rap music.
yeah, but it was crazy on this piece of land that we were ATVing across. It was oh man, I can't remember the name of the dude that originally owned it. It was some guy who he had like at one point it was like the biggest sugar mill on earth. Like that was how Hawaii made a lot of their money whenever they originally got so we also learned this history too. Back in like the late 1800s, it was like the Hawaiian Empire, but it was run by the Dole family, which is like a Great Britain royalty family, like the Dole
the
pineapples and Dole
yeah.
bananas. So they have a pineapple plantation on Oahu, but in Kauai they had this other guy owned like a sugar mill, and then this ran I think after America took over in 1959. I can't remember what the exact timeline was, but anyways, this guy passed away. No, that was late 1800s, early 1900s. So this guy passed away. And then in like the 1960s or something, it was like something, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like he got like 1,400 acres for $220,000 on Kauai, which is
Unbelievable.
absolutely like that amount of land would sell for $1 billion now. Like it was, I mean, it's like half of the island of Kauai. So anyways, this guy owns it, and the guy who owned AmericaOnline.com, AOL.com, I can't remember his name, like DJ Casey or something like that. He's the one who bought it. And then the reason that he bought it for so cheap was because there was a bunch of bidders like that were bidding well above him, but he said that he was going to buy it and preserve it. So that's what they gave it to at a cheaper cost because he wasn't going to make any money off of it.
Right.
But one of the only sales that he's made of the land is to Elon Musk. Yeah, and yeah, I want to make sure I get this right, but to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has like one of the largest solar plants in like all of the country, and it literally powers 13% of the island.
Wow.
Oh my
It's like so
gosh.
big. So it's like when you drove past, it took like 5 minutes to drive past the whole thing, but it's still like wildly small in comparison to like all of the. Oh, sorry, my like vinyl player just made a growling sound at us.
I was so confused.
Yeah,
I was like,
I thought that was
Steven
us.
got a cat.
Steve Case, there it is. So he owns it, and there's another thing where if you own land in Hawaii, they're trying to keep the land with the people who own it. So if you own a land, that means your family can lease it, like aka like own it for like something like 50 more years. They like it's like in their name for at least 50 more years. And I don't really know exactly like how it stays in the name or something like that, but essentially like you can pass it down from family to family. But even if it's like not direct family, you can lease it for up to 50 years for $1 a year. It's like they're trying their absolute hardest to
Preserve it.
to keep it in the family names. So anyways, this guy really wants to give it to his son, but like Elon Musk is already trying to find his way in. But one of the most fascinating parts is Kauai is like trying super hard to preserve the island. Like Kauai only has like 68,000 people that live at it, and all the other islands have like over 1 million people. There's like resorts and all this crap.
Yeah.
And this piece of land specifically is like super underdeveloped. Like there's nothing on it. So it's just like Elon Musk is so smart in how he does business. But if he somehow put his hands and bought like 1,400 acres in an undeveloped like island that is just like completely has like it has to be like the most opportunity filled real estate development on Earth. Like 1,400 acres on like one of the biggest vacation tourist spots for all of Asia and all of America.
Yeah.
Like it's just freaking nuts to me.
I think it's crazy that Hawaii is a part of the United States.
Yeah, I like literally spray painted everywhere there. Hawaii is not part of America.
Wait, for real?
It's like
Actually,
no one I mean, they had like fireworks shows, like a few, but it was nothing like.
I don't know. Why
like,
is Hawaii part of America?
It is all. Like I learned it's the Pearl Harbor Museum. It is only because of military stuff. Like
that makes sense.
And they would like you would assume that if they did do Obama, it was a big deal. Obama in like 2009 or something gave a big like apology speech to Hawaii because I think like Obama has some sort of like Hawaiian heritage or something like that.
So, yeah.
But anyways, he gave this big apology speech, and then they're mad because they're like, oh well, if you actually mean it, like give us our land back, like stop ruling us. But now one of the only reasons that America continues to run it is because if they gave it back to it for it to be like its own country, China would just take over
immediately.
Yeah, like within 10 years. Like they would just get overtaken by someone who wouldn't have labor laws or So like America's rule is in a way like a lesser of evils, which is really fascinating. But I am convinced like that place, like especially the more rural you get, like it felt more like Panama or like the Dominican Republic than it did America.
Yeah.
Oh, like wow. It was like first world because everybody had like electricity and running water and clean water. Like the food was like USDA standard, farms were USDA standard. Like everything was like clean enough, but it wasn't. It in no way was it like resembled America at all. And a lot of people like they have Hawaiian immersion schools too. They brought back in like 2000. So they're like kids can be grown up completely in their language.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's why they had no written language until a missionary went and translated it into the Bible in like 1860 or something like that. So like literally the reason that their language looks so weird is because that's literally like what it sounds like, but it's just like written out in English. So like
that's fascinating.
Like literally there's so many signs. Poo-poo or papui or poopy, or like an in words, or that would just be like the whole world, or sorry, the whole word. It was like I couldn't like pronunciate the half the words I saw. It was wild.
It became a state in 1959.
Yeah,
64 years ago, which means like our grandparents were kids when it was the 49 states of America.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
So weird.
Yeah, they added 2 states. Like I think they added Alaska They added Alaska, and I didn't realize this. They kind of already ran Alaska and Hawaii, but they took it over and made it officially part of America, because Alaska was, this is right. Alaska was a liberal state and Hawaii was a conservative state. But since they took them on in 1959, they've swapped. So Hawaii is a liberal state now, and Alaska's a Republican state. I just thought it was.
Yeah,
that was fascinating.
Alaska joined the same year.
Yeah,
59.
Yeah, they brought them at the same time, but it's literally because of Russia and Japan. And like, it was interesting because like the reason that Japan bombed Pearl Harbor is because they wanted to take over Hawaii, and the reason they wanted to take over Hawaii, it had nothing to do with America. It was like, if they take over Hawaii, then that means that they were going to be able to take over like Taiwan, Philippines,
yeah, I was
Thailand,
say it's probably like a
and then the
foothold
whole.
to get into.
Yeah, they were going to get the whole. I think for them it's the east. Like they were going to get to take over the whole eastern seaboard, which would have been able to take over a lot of other things. So I don't know if that means would have been good, because from my understanding, Japan is like a much better like governed place now than it was back then. I think it was like more like dictator, like China vibes than it is now. But because Japan's like essentially just like America now, because after the nuclear bomb, America I guess felt bad and gave them a bunch of money. I actually have no idea if that's true, so if that offended someone, I'm so sorry. But I just know that they have like Dwight Eisenhower implemented the New Deal there after they bombed them. That's the only thing I know. But
I genuinely, I don't know if this is recency bias because you just got back from this trip. I genuinely didn't know you were that much of a history buff.
I wasn't, but when you go to Pearl Harbor, it's like insane. Dude, I learned whenever I was there. There was like 3,100 people on the ship or something like that. Like on the ship, they had no idea that it was coming. They like saw the planes on the radar and they thought it was like a hiccup, so they just like didn't worry about it. And then they thought it was like they thought the army was like, it was like the Navy base thought the army was like training on a Sunday. Like they were like, why are you doing that? But they were just like, whatever, don't worry about it. Because they were like, there's no way Japan, like apparently that day, I don't remember who's the president then, but like that day, our president and their president were like had a meeting, like to negotiate something about World War II, something. It was crazy. Wow. So anyways, they show up and there's like 3,100 people on the ship. 2,800 of them died. Like they killed like almost the entire ship of people, and like 2,000 of them are still in the ship underwater.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
Well, I mean, I imagine not very much of them is left now, but like
their skeletons are down there.
Yeah, like that's crazy. 2,000 human beings. So what they do is, the last Pearl Harbor survivor, or the last one from that, like the USS Arizona or whatever it was, survivor died this past year. And they had already had like a lot beside his wife or something like that for him to go be buried in. But before that, almost all of the other people on the ship that survived got cremated, and then they have like ceremonies, like funerals at the ship, where they go and put the ashes inside the ship with the other people, which is just
talk about a nod to history.
I wonder if there's people like
100 people that are like in there.
I wonder if they want that. Or if, like, I can see a world where someone's like, this happened so long ago that I was, like, a kid when that happened, and I moved on and had, like, a whole life after that, and it was tragic, but I kind of tried to forget it. And now it's like, I'm really old, and I'm one of the last people left, and these freaking American government people keep making me fly all the way back down here and try and remember these really traumatic events that happened to me. And now when I die, they're going to like spread my ashes here. I kind of just want to live my normal life in Ohio.
yeah, straight up. I was an accountant.
Yeah, it's like, I fought in the war, and it was terrible, and all my friends died, but then I just moved on and lived in Ohio for the rest of my life.
You mean to tell me, if you were on a ship with 2,100 of your best friends and they all died, like you saw them burn, like there was one of the stories that this guy, he was one of the nurses who went out to the ship, and he said that people's bodies were like burned into the ship. Like half of their body was like say they're on their back, half their body was like still on there. The other part of their body had become liquid and burned to the ship because it burnt so hard, like so hot.
I'm not trying to belittle.
Like you would see that and you would be like, actually, I don't really. This is the government's being super annoying.
I'm
There's
not trying
no
to
freaking
belittle.
way.
I'm not trying to belittle what happened. Obviously,
That was super belittling to what happened.
what I'm saying is, I can picture a person like who experienced this thing.
Yeah.
What is it? 80 years ago? Was it in the
I guess
40s
it
when this
was-
happened?
No, it was 39. So I guess it was 40. So that was like
I'm just picturing someone like in
60,
2005,
70, 80,
2005.
40
This
years
happened
ago,
like
85 years ago.
60 something years ago,
85 years ago.
and this again. That's a long time. That's 3 times as long as I've been alive, almost.
Yeah.
They went and lived the rest of their life, recovered, moved on, lived a whole life.
Well, they then, assumedly, they went and fought in World War II after that happened.
Yes. And then the American government, like every few years, is like, hey, can you go back down there and like rehash like the worst thing that ever happened in your entire life over and over and over again? Do you not see what I'm saying?
I
I can
guarantee
see
you-
how that would be
Wait, why-
very frustrating and
Why
annoying.
do you think they kept flying them? Do you think? Oh, I guess they went for the other
70th
people's
year-
ceremonies.
Yeah, to this guy's ceremony and the
Oh.
75th year anniversary and the 80th
Yeah.
anniversary and the...
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that there would be some sort of peer pressure, considering like 50 other dudes did it. If you're like the 51st guy that passed away, it's like, oh, am I really gonna get married? Like,
yeah,
am I really
I'm not
gonna get
gonna
buried
go
in
like
Mason,
disrespect
Ohio?
Jim's,
Or am I
like,
gonna-
you know, I love Jim.
Or could I, like-
he was awesome.
Be buried in the coolest place, the coolest burial ground ever.
I also don't think that 2,100 people would be best friends. I imagine in the military, it's like you have a couple buddies, and then it's a bunch of other people that you don't know.
Dude, if you lived on the same ship with a bunch of people, I just can't even imagine like how much fun that would be. Like, obviously, not getting bombed, but before that, like
Really
3,000.
awesome until you
There was
melted
3,000
to
people
death.
on that one boat, and there was like 7 boats, and it was like it's like a beautiful island that's like in the military base, and these guys just got to go out and hang out in Hawaii, like thousands of dudes. And then obviously there was like I don't think women could be, well, could women be in the military then?
Based on the movie, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I
I
remember seeing.
forgot about that movie.
Isn't it Ben Affleck?
I
It
think
might
Ben
be Ben
Affleck
Affleck.
is in that movie.
I think so.
Yeah, but it's
Great-
freaking hype though.
Great movie.
Apparently, they did manage to get like a few planes in the air, before Japan's second attack, and but from the ship, some of the ships were literally like burning to the ground, like in the water, and they got the machine guns on the boats that were still like working, and they shot down. There's only, I think that they only killed like 30 Japanese people in the attack. That versus like the 5,000 or 5,400. I don't remember how much it was. There was like thousands of people that died in America. It was the worst attack on American history, and like it was nuts. Like literally, dudes would just like, you know, their ships burning down. They would take the machine gun and like shoot down planes. It was like the coolest. It was like the coolest part of the like. It was the coolest part about the museum was whenever I learned. Like, oh, like even amidst, like it was like pure loss. Like they had bombed every single air base, so they didn't have any planes, and they were like, we're still gonna do it. Also, I learned this: they practiced the atomic bomb on a Hawaiian island, and they rendered it uninhabitable. Inhabitable. Yeah. Just
How many Hawaiian islands are there?
like the most popular ones. There's like 4, but then there's like a ton of like.
Did you go to Maui?
We went to Maui for
Did
2
you
days.
see the fires? Like the leftovers from
Yeah,
the fires?
that was in Lehigh, or I think was the name of the town. But it was like we went to the west side of the island, and then we went to the east side of the island, and that was on the north side of the island.
This says that they're...
Have you heard of the conspiracy theories surrounding?
Yeah, my
fires?
mom freaking brought it up with the
space lasers.
space. Oh, I thought you were talking about like Oprah. Oprah's like house. They look.
I have no clue about how Oprah's tied up.
Oprah has a house there, and the rumor is that Oprah didn't let people use her house as like a way to stop the fire, even though it would have been like helpful. And a bunch of houses around Oprah's house burned down, but Oprah's house didn't burn down. So there's this like conspiracy that like Oprah being a part of this like clan that runs the world or whatever, you like the Rothschilds or whatever they're called.
Rothschilds.
Or the Rothschilds. Like they think that she's like a part of that clan that goes to that like camp in Northern California and all that crap. They run the world and money.
The Grove.
Yeah, the Grove.
The Cabal.
Yeah, the fall of Cabal. Like, it's all that crap. But it's like, dude, freaking 1,000 people, like,
so much
ruined
loss.
a whole town. Like, shut up. But I think that was started by, it was like, it wasn't a natural fire. It was like people playing with fireworks or something like that.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Apparently, I'm not saying this happened.
Apparently
space lasers shot it.
No, apparently, there's, the theory is this space laser started this fire, and it cannot ignite something that is the color blue. And so there were multiple blue houses and tons of blue umbrellas that were
Fine.
completely untouched, and everything around it is just burned to the ground.
I believe it.
Golly,
I'm
bro.
sold.
I'm sold. I don't even have to
I
see
also
the
think
pictures.
there is a Leviathan moving within the ocean right now. That is why that hurricane came through.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Dude, Facebook is a crazy place.
Yeah.
There are 132 islands.
Yeah. I mean, out
Yes.
like out the west part of it, it's like it's pretty crazy.
I had no idea. I thought there were like 10 or something. Just like, the shape of Hawaii.
Craziest stat I heard while I was there. From the seafloor up to the tallest peak in Hawaii, it's 14,100 feet, which that mountain looks enormous. It doesn't even look real.
Yeah.
But from the seafloor all the way up to it, it's 34,000 feet of elevation.
Wow.
So like from the most bottom part of the ocean where it starts all the way up, which nobody knows the bottom of the seafloor. So I don't know how she got this stat. I'm going to be honest. That's why part of me thinking this is the crazy stat is they said a lot of crap there, like Hawaiian people did. No hate to Hawaiians. If we have any Hawaiian listeners or like people with Polynesian backgrounds, killing. But like they said a lot of crap there, and I was like one thing they said was they didn't have any diseases, and then Captain Cook came, the guy it was the original like white man that came, and then the rats on his ship brought. And like I'm sure they brought diseases, but to say that you were a diseaseless society and like people had came there from the West already, which like if you think about it, like whether you're evolutionist or creationist, like whatever your thing is, life had to be started at one central point, and then they had to like travel out from there.
Yeah.
So therefore, like the same bloodline went west that went east. It's not like the East people developed STDs and all this crap like just out of nowhere over here, but then on the West they were like just pure
untouched
Yeah, I'm
people.
sure they had other diseases and problems.
Yeah, like
every
no one actually
the
died
entire
here before he came.
literally they were like
We've all lived. We're all 195.
they literally were like we were perfect, white man ruined us. Like that was like their narrative they said. And I'm obviously a white guy, so I took offense to it.
right.
But I was just like, I mean, you can't truly think that you had no one die. They were literally in the same breath. This one girl was like, we didn't have any diseases, but like not many babies were living past one those days.
Yeah,
it's
I was
like,
gonna say.
well, then how do you think they died,
Yeah.
bro? Like,
Everyone died of the common cold at 30 years old until like 200 years ago.
yeah,
Everyone
or like
did.
water,
And then
or
everything
like,
was ruined because of the rats.
and then the rats were like, yeah, we brought STD.
Yeah.
It's like, never mind. Anyways,
rat or bat? Am I right?
hey, am I right?
Am I right? Shut down the world.
That's the
Another fascinating thing: no snakes. The whole state. There's no snakes.
I think I knew that.
Yeah,
Because
That's crazy.
they imported some kind of bird or something that like eradicated all of them.
no, they should have never. Snakes have never came. Like they've never. I mean,
interesting.
there's like apparently like a black market for them and stuff, like there.
That's weird.
But there's not like there's no like you can. That's why so many people swim in like the rivers and like go out in the rainforest, and they like there's another reason like why so many people die in like South America is because there's freaking
There's snakes everywhere.
yeah. But there are water snakes, which are the most poisonous snakes on earth, but they can't live outside of the water. And I saw one. It was terrifying. It was like in this little cove-looking thing. It was white.
Whoa.
It was very crazy. It literally moved just like it does on land, just in water. It was very terrifying. But, yeah, no snakes. So you can like swim in waterfall. It's like, it's crazy because here, every single time you go on a rope swing or go to like a waterfall or anywhere where there's like a creek, I'm always looking out like with the corner of my eyes, looking for a water moccasin or some sort of like snake right off the like whatever, right off the water, the bank. There it is. But there, it was like you could swim freely in any waterfall, any creek, and it was like literally they have some water there that you can just straight up with a straw drink out of it because it's just like completely so cool. Like.
But then the white man ruined it.
But then the white man brought the rats.
Rats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
I think we should really blame rats. I don't think it's the white guy's fault.
Yeah.
Where did rats come from? Where are they indigenous to? Frick those guys.
For sure.
Rats.
For sure, England.
For sure, England.
White man.
They have the buck teeth too. It just makes sense. Yeah, but yeah. Oh yeah. So the crazy stat was 34,000, and then she literally had this guide, had the absolute gumption to say, like, which that means we're beating. This is crazy. So like 34,000 from the sea level to the beginning plus 14,000, which adds to 34 plus 14, 48,000. She was like, yeah, which means we're beating Everest by 4,000 feet. And Everest is 26,000 feet tall. So I was like, that's terrible math, first off. 26,000 minus 48 is not...
It's 20.
Yeah, 20. And it's like,
22.
Seafloor there versus the top. Like, it's in Nepal. It's like 1,000, like probably 10,000 miles inland from an ocean. Like, how do you... Like, also, like, it was just...
Everest is 29,000.
29,000. But it was like she included the sea floor all the way up to the top of the mountain there, but she didn't include the sea floor all the way up to the top of the mountain for Everest. And I was like, she like said it, and me and like Nick looked at each other and we were like,
It's funny because it's like, if that was true, then like everyone would know, you know? You have to like bend your facts to your will to make that be true.
Yeah.
Which then just, you're kind of just lying.
And
like
that is called deceit.
She's like, everyone else in the world is wrong except for me.
Except for Hawaii, which was a diseaseless Eden up until the white man came.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thanks, tour guide.
Yeah.
Dang.
But yeah, she also said that 3.8. No. Okay, so after this is actually true. After like white people did come, they did bring it wasn't malaria. What's the
smallpox,
swine flu? Maybe
swine flu?
It was like some. It was one of the 1800s, like one of those diseases. I can't remember what it was. The Great Plague. But they brought something over there and they killed like a lot of Hawaiians. That's what happens whenever any island gets like interacts with other people groups for the first time. And but that like whenever that happened, she said this tour guide, and granted, this tour guide not a representation of all of Hawaii, but this specific tour guide, she literally said that estimates say there was 6.8 million Hawaiians living on the Hawaiian Islands before Captain Cook came with his like ships, and then afterwards there was only 90,000 of them left.
Wow.
That's just that lady is not terribly smart.
I don't think so. She either.
I think she was probably a really
Also,
engaging tour guide.
I was gonna say, what a weird thing to become a tour guide, and how do you like know?
Lie.
How do you know if they're right?
Yeah, like,
you know,
I was like,
how
man,
do
we
you-
should do like tours of Birmingham and just like spew bull crap to blow like vulnerable people's minds.
Yes.
I was like, man, if someone was like she's probably actually like led a lot of vulnerable people to believe this crap she's saying. Like, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, man, what if you like showed up to Birmingham and I was just like, yes, before the steel mill came, we were the perfect society, diseaseless, and we had
This is a
10 million
utopia.
people living here with waterfalls everywhere.
Have you ever seen Wakanda in the Avengers
Literally.
universe? That was Birmingham before.
I think she watched Black Panther and she was like, I'm going to become a Hawaiian tour
Hawaii.
guide
She was like,
with the
wait,
same
that's
plot.
in Africa? No, I think that's Hawaii.
Yeah. No, she was fascinating bloke. But yeah, we looked it up, and the Pew Research Group, which is the leading demographic statistician, like corporation, whatever group in the world, they estimate there's 258,000, and there was 90,000 after the white men came. They did kill over 50%.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. But
it's not 6.8.
6.8 million and 9. I think the 6.8 million would have kind of killed them at that point. I don't really know how that works, but I feel like they would have just like mauled them. Yeah, but yeah, it was a fascinating tour guide that day. But it was cool. Like some of the other tour guides were like super fascinating. They were just talking about how like Britain essentially they're like, hey, like we'll give you a bunch of money if you sell us a farm, and they're like, all right, cool. And then as soon as they got the farm, then they controlled like the tariffs on the exporting, so they just like tariffed the heck out of them until they just like let them take over the land. It's just like it's just like but also I never thought about it this way because only 250,000 people. We're going to do a little segment of, you ready for this? Nope. Welcome to Myres Business segment.
Myres Business.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So, 258,000 people. They didn't have currency before the Brits came, but it was like a flourishing kingdom and society. Like apparently, their king had traveled more than like most kings in the world. So like he had interacted with a lot of other societies, but he came back and he didn't import currencies. I'm sure there was like local currencies amongst like some people or whatever, but mostly it was just like kind of a shared society. It's what we refer to as socialistic societies or communist societies, but they didn't have like education. Like they didn't have like economics classes, at least from my understanding of what I was like learning. They didn't know what the difference between like capitalism and socialism and communism and whatever the other ones are.
Yep.
So they were just like kind of living life in this like shared, like they were like, hey, you're a fisherman, I need fish, but I'm like they have a yuca is a starch that they make like bread and potato, like it's like just like a potato, but they make like bread and flour and all that stuff out of it. They also have corn. So like they were like, hey, I can give you like cornbread if you give me fish. It was like that kind of scenario. But it was fascinating to me, like at its purest sense, like were they being well, also sorry if anyone's like pro-communism that's a listener of this podcast, but like we're just like not, like we don't think it's like a great idea for America at all. But in that setting,
for anyone at all,
yeah, in that setting, it's like, do you kind of give? It's like, I mean, I totally understand that. Like, I don't think there should have been trade happening or bartering in this sort of like. And they talked about how royalty at that point was, and granted, this was another one of the things that girl said that definitely fell apart, but she was like, wealth wasn't measured by how much you made at that point. It was measured by how much you gave away. But it's like you have to have the most in order to give away the most. So it was a fascinating thing. But like royalty literally was known for like giving land away, giving fish away, giving ships, boats away, giving like everything away to their people, which is like, again, a government giving like resources to their people. Like that's like, you know, that's the most socialist part about American government. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Myres?
Well, clearly there was some sort of trade system in place. Mm-hmm. The benefit of currency is it allows you to trade anything for the currency. So I guess the problem would be if you were trying to trade with another country or another civilization. If you have a different currency from them, it might be difficult to value that currency if it's not backed by something. Mm-hmm. I imagine if it's an independent island, I would wonder what the currency was backed by.
Well, it was a self-sustainable island, though.
Yeah.
So they didn't need to trade.
Well, even in like a small community, like if I have corn and Cole has a blanket
Yeah.
and I need a blanket, but he doesn't need corn. There's got to be some kind of intermediary thing to allow us to trade. So I don't really.
So you would argue that they're like what even though they didn't have an official currency, there still was like free market capitalism, like currency happening. Would you say that's probably the case in every like?
I think most societies have had currencies. I don't know how they would be valued.
What if you were like, I'll give you 1,000 corn for one blanket? Like, what if it was like, you could beat them with like volume?
I mean, yeah.
Because I'm thinking North Korea doesn't have any backed currency, but they do sell like battery chips, or they probably sell like, I don't know.
Do you know that?
Cars.
They don't have a currency?
North Korea?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like the royal family might, but I know they don't have one within their country.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe they do because they have stores. But the people there, what's it called? The people that get out? There's like a name for them. That girl. What?
Refugees.
No, there's like it's like a crazy name. But anyways, we listened to one of the podcasts with that girl, and she's she's one of the people that got out of North Korea. Fun fact, the only way to get out of North Korea is through selling yourself into the sex trade in China.
Defectors,
yes. Crazy thing that's going on in our world. I don't really know why the heck we talk about American politics so much when stuff like that's happening, but
yeah,
it's freaking nuts.
Yeonmi Park.
Yeah, and one of the main ways that those people end up in America is because of missionaries that are working in the sex trafficking business in China. It's crazy. Wow. It's like a big like pattern within like North Korea to America is like Americans like get them American missionaries or like any type of missionary get them to America from China sex trafficking. Crazy.
That's horrible.
It's also really fascinating hearing them. If you ever want to hear a good podcast, what's that girl's name?
Yeonmi Park.
Yeonmi Park. Listen to how she interacts with Christianity for the first time, because it's fascinating. Because up until that point in her life, she was doing in her opinion, she was doing a good thing to get out of North Korea by having sex with strangers. And then she interacted with Christianity, which told her you're not allowed to have sex before marriage. It's just a fascinating, psychological game.
Dilemma.
Yeah.
I don't really know what question you're asking me about Hawaii, though.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to say, like, is there any way, like, for them, like, they were self-sustainable, like, if they needed to fish, their husband or I guess the wife could, like, literally go out, and they had these, like, fish sanctuaries that they, like, I don't know how to explain it, but essentially fish swam into them, and there's enough small fish, like, they stocked it with, like tadpole-looking fish, and so the tube to get from the ocean, it's actually a fascinating thing. I'm going to spend way too much freaking time talking about Hawaii, but anyways,
they have the Hawaii episode.
They have natural wells that are right off the ocean that are coming up from like the earth that is like natural spring water, just like there is in America. Like people might not know that exists in America, but like there's natural spring waters that comes out of the earth into like little reservoir looking things. And they recognize that there's a bunch of them in these certain places. So they built these like lakes with like really small tubes from the ocean through like man-made like rock walls. And the fish, like when they were small enough, could swim into the little ponds with like filled with natural water, but there wasn't enough salt water getting in that would like ruin it. It was just like cleaning it more.
Yeah.
So like fishes would come in, they would feed, and they would get fat enough to where they couldn't fit out the tube the other way. So like these fish, they just like naturally fish. It's a fascinating thing to consider. Really like in 1500, these dudes had this like absolutely unbelievably good idea.
Yeah.
So you could just go down to one of these things, considering there was only 250,000 people living on the island. I imagine that they had enough.
Yeah.
But you could just get a fish, like you just catch one easily in these tiny ponds. And then if you needed like a pineapple, there was pineapple plants everywhere. If you needed water, or if you needed like a sweet, like a sugar, there's coconuts everywhere. Like there's avocado trees everywhere. There's mango trees everywhere. There was like food was like everywhere. And then they have like ginormous leaves. So they had sugar cane, which turns into amazing like structural integrity. So they would just build their own house. They would feed their own children. They had natural water springs. They would like, so they could drink easily. So they didn't like need, like, you know, like think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They had shelter. They had food, like resources. So it's like at that point, like, I guess just like greed would be like the reason for like because we've had the conversation before too, where it's like, is there currency in heaven? And like, I guess like the consensus is like, we don't know, but probably not. So like in that world, like, was that communism? I guess that's my question. Or is that just like life? I don't know. I don't know if like what kind
I definitely don't think it's communism. I mean, I think the epitome of Marxism is destruction of all order, and abdication of responsibility. Whereas if you're responsible for taking care of yourself and your community and your family completely, like that is more responsibility than any of us have to adopt, because we don't have to go out and like raise our food and kill it and prepare it.
Yeah.
Like that's way more responsibility than anyone. I mean, unless you're a homesteader or something, you know. Most people in America don't.
And almost all homesteaders are incredibly wealthy. It's another fun fact.
Yeah, they sold their $250 million internet company and then became
Do a Google search on that. Pretty much all homesteaders are super rich.
Yeah, I listened to one today. His name was Tucker Max, and he was like this super famous author who then started a company that ghost writes people's books, and he mentioned David Goggins. Apparently that was a ghost written book.
Yeah, I could believe that. Man has no education. He wrote a book.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, there's certainly an element of trade, but it could get by with no currency to some extent, I suppose. It makes me wonder, how does the king / like governing body attain any sort of wealth if there's no like tax on the people?
It's like super interesting.
Or I guess, do people have property rights? That could be a
like when you were born in that society, like pre that, they gave you they gave everyone a triangle lot, and then some people would have some people would have more ocean access, and some people would have more forest access.
Yeah,
but everybody had forest access and ocean access on these like triangle like lots essentially, and the bigger your family was, the more. Like, yeah. I mean, you think about it, truly medieval. Like, I'm thinking like a Catan level trade here. Like, in order to, if you had a big family, that is like a direct translation to like you having fertile land and having just like fertility in your. So, and that's how the original empires of the world were started.
Yeah,
it was like people had land where humans could survive, and then they had a ton of people, and then that made the biggest militaries, which made the biggest powers, and so on and so forth. Now it doesn't really work like that. Now it's like a kind of like who has the most money, and that's pretty much it. But it is a fascinating thing. Like it literally might have just been like size of family, and then whoever the head of the biggest family was. But also apparently, like it's just crazy. Like I'm like, how did things like that happen? Like. Without incest, I'm like, that was another thing we were talking about. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's there had to be like a ton going on. Like they don't freaking like they all had to be related to everybody.
Yeah.
If they're all like,
if it's an island of 90,000 people or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways,
Cole, do you think a lot about political and societal structures?
Do you have any opinion on this at all?
Yeah, that sounds good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're right. Which one? Yep.
That's the one. I agree, kind of, but not.
Do you think about these kind of things?
Genuinely, no. Once I got past my like philosophy courses that also paired with like we're gonna study like Nietzscheanism and Marxism and all that in high school, and it was really interesting for the time we read Animal Farm. We did the thing, you know.
Yeah.
Since then, I was a Christian ministry student and social entrepreneurship minor. So like the most government and like societal structure I think on is like, okay, 501c3, like cool. Like we'll do that so we can get a nonprofit to help the homeless community. Like that's all. Like that's the farthest I'll go into that world. Otherwise, it's like people are people, get to meet people, and communism is bad. That's all I got. You know.
Nice.
I wonder why I'm interested in that stuff.
It's because you want to change the world from Gardendale.
I guess.
Yeah. That's just different strokes for different folks, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. It's fascinating to me. Yeah, sometimes I think about how, like, I can't really wrap my head around it in a USA way. Like, I have no freaking clue why anybody ever wants to be a politician, like, federally. Because I'm like, it's so big. There's no way you can actually make a change. At least, like, that. But that's, like, I'm wrong about that. I'm sure there is ways where you can make a change on a federal level. But for me, I like thinking about it in, like, Birmingham. Yeah. That's why, like, I respect Mayor Woodfin so much. I
love that guy.
I mean, I literally couldn't name one thing he's done that's not just, like, city planning stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, him trying to make, like, dual space living for Section 8 housing and, like, living so people can, like, live, work, play in the same area. And there's, like, employees, but there's also, like, people with liquid assets and blah, 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 like, all the things. Like, I think that's, like, genius for Birmingham. I don't think it's genius everywhere, but I think it's, like, genius in Birmingham. And that causes me to think about how my role as, like, when you think about the economic space of Birmingham, like, my role as a pastor for the, however many people, like 2,000 different people at Redeemer, it's like I'm offering them, like, a space to, like, process and think about ethics and morals and religion and in my opinion, like, I'm doing, like, supernatural work in, like, their like life, and that is, like, a aid or a help to the Birmingham, like, economic society, like the invisible hand, if you will. And, like, you are doing that for high schoolers and middle schoolers in your section of Birmingham, and, like, other people are doing that all over Birmingham. Myres is, like, for the state of Alabama and for, like, Jefferson County, he is, like, selling insurance to people who, like, will be in bad situations one day, and he's utilizing funds from a corporate company in like a localized way. So when you think about different people's like hand in it, and that's why, like, apathetic behavior is so, like, shunned or so just, like, looked down upon, because it's like I understand why you as an individual person can lean into apathy, but when you start thinking about yourself as, like, a person of Birmingham, like, even doing one small job well, even, like, the guy at Back 40 who makes the best hamburgers in Birmingham, like, if he was just, like, apathetic and he was like, like, there's a million people making hamburgers in Birmingham, like, who the frick cares? It's like, well, then he's robbing hundreds of people of, like, good culinary experiences that day. Yeah,
good
like
burgers, good vibes.
Yeah, good burgers and good vibes.
Yeah, it's really important, I think, to contextualize yourself as an important part of the grand picture.
Yeah,
because, like, it starts with you and your family, you and your community, you and your city, you and your state, to then be a part of the entire government. And if everyone is aware of that and tries their darndest to take care of the people around them, and then if you reach a point where you're taking great care of the people around you, then you can maybe look a little bit bigger and try and take care of your community, and look a little bit bigger, try and take care of your city, look a little bit bigger, try and take care of your state. Like, that's kind of the order of operations of making an impact, I think.
Yeah. Not so often people view that opposite wise.
Yeah.
They're like, and they kind of skip the world part too. Yeah. They're just like, me as an American. Like, they don't even think about me as, like, just a human being living on Earth.
Globe Earth.
Yeah.
Like, not to get meta and, like, therapeutic, but I think that framing honestly is like, that's, like, really good to hear, because I think so often I just don't view in that, like, greater, like, I have a role that I can play and should. I have been given, like, as a believer, like, I have been given tools for me to glorify the kingdom. I can do that because of the gifts that I've received, And I think, like, I think the reason why it's so hard for me to get to care about politics and care about like how the world's running is, well, one, I've like gone out of my way to put myself to consume non-biased media as best I can. I'm subscribed to this email link that sends me an email every day of what's going on in the world, and it's coffee themed.
CNN?
It's called The Pour Over.
It's not CNN.
It's not CNN.
Oh, okay.
It's called The Pour Over.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I'm talking about Tucker Carlson.
I didn't know that you were on the
Zinn.
pour over. Connor
Yeah.
Kostery. Shout out Connor Kostery. I hope you listen to this podcast one day. But he is a big pour over guy.
I love, and it's all framed through believing context.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll literally be like, this is what happened today. This is it. It goes, U.S. government, world government, and then it also has like social. You know, like I read a couple of Celtics just won game whatever of the you know.
Is it free?
Yeah, it's free.
No way.
And it has like a scriptural response, which I think is really cool.
That's cool.
And like a prayer with each. But sidetrack, I'm trying to consume more of that media because now that I'm in a role where I'm ministering to students, I need to know more about the world that they're facing, because the world that they're facing is wildly different than the world I faced, which is wildly different from the world my parents faced, and so on and so forth.
Speaking of, I saw in the news this past week, because I was with my family. My parents watching the news all the freaking time.
Every day.
And middle schools are trying to like heavily incentivize parents to limit screen time for their middle school students.
It's a
like
huge thing.
It's going through school boards right now.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So,
it's about to
in
be like
Alabama?
illegal to have a lot of
it's in
schools are banning like TikTok and like
Yeah, I mean honestly, like if
asking
I was
their families.
if I was a school board, I would ban phones like being available like to teachers too. Like another fascinating thing too is I read today that this is the first generation of children who are having to compete with phones for their parents' attention.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Like I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But like I mean you think about like we have friends who are parents now. And like they are just as addicted
just
to
IG
our tech.
DMs back and forth.
Literally like they have a child and they're sending me like memes about Shrek on Instagram. Like that's a crazy they're genuine, like they have a child. Like if I had a child today, I would be the same way. Like they're genuinely spending hours of their day watching meme reels.
And you know what is like the furthest degree of that in my mind?
What?
Are adults that are young and have children and still have Snapchat.
Oh my gosh!
Don't get me started.
I didn't know that
is so
existed.
cringe.
That is
bro.
tough, dude.
I remember when I was in high school, I played soccer, and we had this young coach come in. He was fantastic. Him and his best friends all played college soccer together, and then they grew up in the Oak Mountain area where I'm from, and they all came back to coach. And so his name was Christian. He would be our coach. His best friend Trig would be our assistant coach.
Trig
Sick. Wagner. You
Trig
played him in soccer. We talked about that once. But Trig, and then this guy, I can't remember his real name, but his name was Lamella. Are we good?
Okay.
This guy named Lamella, and Trig didn't have a kid yet. Christian had a kid, and I was amazed that before and after practice he's like snapping his friends, and I'm like, you have a baby and
like,
you're
what
using
are you
Snapchat
spending
to
your
communicate.
time?
Like, call someone, please. It was so funny. So, but
yeah,
that was a tangent. But I think a reason why I'm so just like in a way apathetic and don't view myself in that role that I do have gifts that can make a difference is because my family, we're family friends with Ben Carson. Sorry, not Ben Carson. Well, that sucks. Can't I'm blanking on his name right now. But he was a House of Representatives for Nebraska for a while, and now he is the president of the University of Florida.
Yeah. I don't remember his name, but I know you're talking about.
Lee. I'm blanking. Basically, they're
thinking he might run for president next round.
And I've got to find this name. But he when he was in the light of being involved in politics, and he would try to get to know the people of Nebraska that he was over, so much so where he became an Uber just to get to know like the people which I think is super cool. And he's there and he's having conversations, and of course there's wind of it to Fox or CNN or whoever, and it was framed as, well, don't take on Trump, because if you do, then you become an Uber driver. And I'm like, y'all are so dumb. Like, this is a Christian man who's like trying to get to know the people that have elected him in a really positive way, and it's getting framed as like, oh, he's incompetent.
Looking down on Uber drivers too. It's like they definitely call Ubers like they. Dude, that
Ben
sucks.
Sass. Ben Sass, not Ben Carson. Ben Carson's the neurosurgeon that also ran for president at one point. Ben Sass. Just fantastic guy. But watching how that has affected his family, both positive and negative, but how like media has just like, there is a legit good man who's like respectable in front of you.
Yeah.
And it just like,
and just like that tour guide in Hawaii, they just absolutely takes advantage of vulnerable people every day.
Exactly. Yep. Full
circle moment there. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a fascinating thing, man. Like media has this like insane ability to, whatever. I feel like such we could beating a dead horse right now.
Meta real quick if we want to.
Yeah. Sorry to our viewers because my phone ran out of storage.
Oh, dang. Do we have any idea what time it broke out?
I don't know. But if we still have the audio, it's fine.
Yeah, we can just put a big old WOM logo for an hour or something. Big oops. Oopsies. So anyways, what kind of segment do we want to do today?
I actually thought of one.
I'm excited.
I Googled something earlier.
Let's pull up a seg. Let's hit a seg.
I Googled...
Hammer a seg real quick.
Do we have a list segment today, Myres? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, list segment.
Let it be known that...
Come on. Today's list segment is on...
What are some cool things to talk about?
Oh my gosh.
That makes me want to pass away.
Welcome to Brain Rot Podcast. No, I'm actually so curious. Top 10 things to talk about.
All right, so
the weather.
There's some sections. First of all, this article is 280 interesting things to talk about.
Holy cow. And we're going to go through all 280.
And we're just going to quick fire all 280.
This is going to be our next 280 podcast episodes. We're going to talk about all these things.
I was just thinking...
Should we try and guess the top 5?
Actually, yes.
Okay, let me first...
Give us some framing. How are we supposed to think about
Number 1, family. I'm going to put that out there.
So there are sections. So you could...
okay.
You could guess what section, and then I could maybe go to some of the sections, and then you can guess some of the questions.
I'm definitely going to guess that one of the sections is just like family life.
Yeah. Surely, all right.
I feel like people love talking about their family.
Not in the top 10.
Wow.
Okay.
Weird.
Sports definitely is in there.
Sports for sure.
Neither? That was country.
Nope.
Neither?
Okay. Give me, read number 15 so we know the types.
Give me an example.
Oh, hang on. My computer's bugging. One of them was... So they're kind of weird. One of them was with your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Oh.
So it's those are the sections.
Oh.
It's with friends, on a date.
Oh, with your parents?
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't read the sections.
Top things to talk about with your parents. Sex. Kidding.
Hookup stories with your parents.
Oh, actually?
No.
That's on there? Oh, I was going to say, that's a terrible idea.
No.
I did learn, Frazier, who both of y'all have met, told me today, because he happened to go on a mission trip to Birmingham.
Birmingham.
And while he was there, he found this incredibly fascinating. Also, couple nights ago, I was hanging out with him and Mackenzie, his wife, as well as Tim Whitley.
Oh.
Nope.
Dang it. There's the wife.
There we go.
As well as Tim Whitley and Emma Whitley, his wife. And
Shout out Tim. Shout out Summer Boys podcast.
yeah, and they got Ella and I on the Love Island UK.
Oh, you've never watched that before?
Never watched it,
Oh, dude.
bro. It is.
Are you watching season 1 right now?
hilarious. No. We're season 10 simply so we can talk to them about it. But
Do
I
they
heard
watch both of them watch every season?
they've watched the past, I think, 4 or 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 60 episodes a season. It comes out.
Holy cow.
It comes out every day. And
How
it's
long
not-
are the
it's not
episodes?
like 45 minutes.
60.
60.
I have never in my and they watch. That means they watch 45 minutes of Love Island every day for 60 straight days.
They won't watch it every day, but a new episode comes out every single day. So
Bro,
they'll
I
watch
watched the first season. It
they'll
was
watch,
like 12 episodes.
2 episodes, take a day off, watch another 2 episodes. They'll do whatever,
That's crazy.
But,
Love Island is
so
truly
funny. Elle and I were dying. we're only on the
dude. They are
the
so
intro
British.
episode.
It's insane on that show.
But back to how this ties in. So, one, they got us on Love Island UK, which is, I love learning about new slang.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah.
Cultural
They say
vernacular.
chat so much
In it. Yeah. And
proper chat. Yeah.
bloke.
Yeah.
Bloke's a big one. But Fraser was talking about from Love Island UK and being in Birmingham for weeks, how when Americans talk about the weather, it's like really dumb and like, we're bored. We don't know what to talk about.
Yeah.
It's hot out here. British people genuinely love talking about the weather. It's like
What?
a fascinating
weird.
thing, which I think is super dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weather.
Not to be that American
what
being
is-
like, screw Europe.
That's also like the
Freaking
weather.
tortilla in the hard rock.
The
What's a
weather.
kilometer, bro?
The weather in the UK is just rain.
You gotta say kilometer. It makes it
Kilometers.
weird.
It's just
hilarious.
rain and clouds all the time.
But
It's
the
like
weather-
if
the
there
weather
was a
here is
sunny day,
terrible.
that might be
It's just
actually a big
terrible.
deal.
The weather. How's the weather today? Sucks.
This weather blows, mate.
It just blows.
Freaking
mate.
hate it.
They also use cuss words in really funny ways.
Bloody.
They do.
Okay, so the number one thing was top 10 interesting things to talk about.
What? Guess number
such
1.
as-
Interesting things.
Yeah, such as dreams and aspirations. Where do you want to live in the future? What is your second biggest dream?
Second?
Yeah,
That's dumb.
second biggest dream.
I have a first biggest dream, and I definitely know what my second biggest dream is.
Go ahead.
First biggest dream, and by dreams, I in this world, I'm talking about pipe dreams.
Uh-huh.
My number one biggest dream is to run a cafe restaurant. That's like the best vibe ever. I think about it all the time. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Just think about it. Besides that, my second favorite dream, or my second dream, is building my house. Like how would I add on to my house, or how would I like design my house, or how would I renovate my house, or yada yada.
One of my dreams that I don't know if I'll ever realize is to physically build my own house.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a big dream of mine too.
Like I build the house. I don't think I will probably pay someone to build my house one day, but I don't think I'll ever build my own house.
Oh, like you want to physically build?
Like I frame it, I do the foundation.
Dude, that would
I
take
build
you
my
literally
house.
forever.
I know.
Honestly, be a good waste of time right there.
If I built some company, sold it, didn't have to worry about money anymore, that's probably like one of the first things I would do.
Yeah.
Is learn how to build a house and spend like 2 years building my house.
One
That would
thing
be
that's
kinda
super
cool.
fascinating that I've learned is in order to build a house, like once you have the foundation in, then it's just like hard work.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, you kind of just like make.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, to a certain extent, not because you have to do this with the walls as well. But like, anyways, you have to level everything perfectly, but you also have to like level things within the perfectly leveled concrete. And concrete, just as soon as you pour it, it starts setting within like an hour.
Yeah.
So you can't like
Gotta be on your game.
you can't like it's crazy how a house takes forever to build, but it all rides on this like 1 45-minute long period, making sure that everything goes perfectly whenever you pour this like gray liquid everywhere, and then it just becomes a rock. Like that's so fascinating to me. That like Owen, this guy that I'm buddies with, he works for wrestle and Gory, and I never thought about this before, but they're building a new children's hospital in downtown Birmingham right now, or a new office building for children's or something like that. Yeah. But it's like a 10-story like building, and they have, and the majority of buildings nowadays, like there's no wood in like tall buildings. It's all like metal and concrete, and because it's just like cheaper to do it that way. But they had 250 like concrete trucks that could not get stopped in traffic. Like if it got stopped in traffic, it would just like
it would just set. So they do, whenever they pour concrete, like I feel like this has happened to me so much. It's like you look up at a building and be like, oh my gosh, like when did that happen? Like that was nothing yesterday. So but it's because they do it throughout the entirety of the night. And it's on a setting to where like this concrete truck is getting like, the first one leaves, and like the second one, as soon as the first one, like, I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it, but there's like this routine, like 250 of them. You got to think about all the logistics that go into it. Like it has to be filled like right before it leaves the lot. It has to get from the lot to the downtown Birmingham location. Like, so they literally had like they blocked off the roadways. They did everything because it's on University, which is like a super busy road in downtown Birmingham. Yeah. So like, from my understanding, traffic lights did not apply to these guys. Like nothing. Like they shut down the whole like University Forum or whatever road it was, and they just like drove 250 of them from this like concrete lot in like probably, I don't know, West Birmingham or something. Yeah. You got to feel so important.
Oh yeah.
It's like
and he literally,
you're the guy.
Just like,
oh yeah. Like everyone in there, it's like, dude, like, I don't know this. I'm sure like there's people at Brassfield Gory that makes a frick ton of money. There's like construction workers and like concrete driver people that are like doing like, I mean, for what it's going to be worth, like $1 billion jobs, and they're making, I don't know, like $45,000 a year or something like that. Like all of them. And it took 200. I mean, I guess they probably had the same guy did like a bunch, but it's like, that is a freaking ordeal. And they literally pour it because it happens. They literally like the first one sets and they pour it. They poured, I can't remember how much it was. It was like 3 stories worth of concrete in one night.
Wow.
And there's like it's a whole skyscraper. So you think about like New York City, like that. I mean, where the heck are these concrete trucks coming from to get to downtown? Like Manhattan.
They have concrete helicopters.
Like legitimately, it's like where
the like big barrel spinning.
Yeah,
and just like slowly.
I guess at some point like they don't. I don't know, but like you know, there's like that was a good sound effect.
It's no big deal.
Like, you know, those like vloggers in New York, all of them have that huge concrete like beam in the corner of their living rooms. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like that means that all of those like huge buildings all over Manhattan have like a huge concrete pole. They had to
pour like level by level.
Surely.
Yeah, but they still have to get it from like a concrete masonry
they still
lot
have to do like a crazy
into downtown Manhattan
foundation. But yeah.
Like that has to be stupid expensive there. I don't know. That's like freaking nuts. There's probably got to be some redneck in New Jersey who makes $1 billion a year pouring concrete.
Yeah.
It's like, where are they getting all these rocks from too? Like there has to like a giant hole somewhere in like a mountain. I don't know. In like northern New York.
Big hole mountains quarry.
Speaking of concrete, Cole, do you have any big dreams?
Big dreams. Actually, I'm really in a process right now, because for the past 8 years, my goal has been do youth ministry. Yeah. Like do ministry, and now I'm doing it. You know, so I'm trying to, in terms of like dreams, Mariella, you know, but we know that's inevitable. Yeah. In terms of things I find myself often dreaming about, style, clothing, things that I really want to find. Yeah. cream linen pants that are baggy.
Ooh.
Gotta find them.
Gotta get them.
Also, new tattoo ideas. I think about that a lot.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that a ton these days.
Yeah.
Recency bias, but nonetheless. Actually, not even recency bias. I've been doing that for a minute.
I was just thinking, the reason I brought up this segment was, we're all obsessed with questions to ask people to generate
Yeah.
genuine and interesting conversation.
Good cues for good seeds.
And I just think it's hilarious that, like, when you Google that, all of the questions are just
You got any pets?
bad.
You got any siblings?
I bet Reddit has a good one.
So how are things at work? Will you be having any vacation soon?
I would. Oh god.
That's honestly a go-to of mine whenever conversation dies. I'm like, so, like, you got any plan any trips?
Do you have a
'Cause I
5-year
do.
plan? Yeah,
Get
Steven's
wrecked.
like, I've got
I just
80
went to
plans. 80 trips planned.
Well, first
You got any
gotta-
plans?
Go to
Got any,
Cuba.
What is the funniest
I just
moment
did.
you had as a child?
Oh, that's actually a good question. What's yours?
What was it? What was the question? Say it again.
What
What is the funniest moment you had as a child?
Overwhelming to pick one.
Yeah, I have no idea where to even start.
I don't know if this is the funniest, but it is embarrassing in front of my whole family. We had a Honda
Pooped your
Odyssey.
pants?
I for sure did that at some point. Not that. We had a Honda Odyssey back in the day, the one with the automatic doors. It's like you're about to get out. There's a button here. And
You talking about the one that Jacob McLennan's about to get?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's the one. I am befuddled to figure out how this happened to me, but there was one point, and with those automatic doors, if you hold it, it'll push for a second and stop,
And it stops. Yeah.
and it retracts. Good designing.
Yep. Safety.
But for whatever reason, the story I'm about to tell you, it did not retract. Until we had to push the button. I'm probably fourth grade, getting out of my mom's 2008 Honda Odyssey in our garage. Everyone has gotten out. I'm the last person. As I'm getting out, Sam, my younger brother, friend of the pod, he presses the button. So I'm getting from the back right seat out to the front left door. And as I step out, my head gets caught in between the automatic door and the door framing, and I just start screaming. I'm just like, "Whoa, get it off!" I'm losing my mind, and I can look, and I'm seeing my mom die laughing, and no one would help me until I think Hadley came around and pressed the button, but I got my head caught in an automatic door of a Honda Odyssey.
That is really funny.
And I'm like, I don't know. It could have retracted. I don't think it did because we had to press it multiple times, and it was horrifying. So yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
What do you think about the "Do you have any hobbies?" question? To me, it's hard.
That's such a boring way to ask that question.
Yeah, I think there's a more exciting way to ask it. I think it's a good question.
The intent is good.
I mean, I call myself a serial hobbyist because I go through hobbies and
change.
For 2 years I'll do something and then I move on.
Yeah.
So it's always an interesting topic for me. I find it strange when people don't have hobbies.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that one thing that some people have hobbies and it's just watching a show.
Yeah.
People love in post-grad talking about shows.
Yeah.
Because that's the most life they're experiencing. And it's super interesting to me that whenever I'm with other people who like carpentry, and then I start talking about different ways you can kind of
Carpenter.
Yeah, different ways you can
Carpent?
join wood together, and it people make fun of me and for doing it. Hence why you just made fun of me for doing it.
Yep.
And it's I can sit here and talk to you about the new season of The Bear, and everybody can be like, "Oh, The Bear! I love Matty Matheson." And it's just bro, this is a fake, made up story.
Yeah.
It's a good show. I'm not saying it's a good show, but I just think that it's fascinating
pretty
how
accurate of what it could look like.
What?
Actually, had real chefs.
I was like, it's pretty accurate what a kitchen's like.
Golly.
The wheat freaking the best accurate kid. They cut themselves.
Nick
Nick
King.
King is FaceTiming
No
me
way.
to open his Tacoma set right now.
Oh, man. You can take it if you need. Go for it.
All right, y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. But anyways, like I think that it's fascinating how I can talk in public about like in a way like an equivalent of like talking about a show, something that I spend a lot of time doing, something you spend a lot of time doing. We can talk about how we perceive it, how we do it, and then people can be like, "Oh, stupid."
Yeah.
Like freaking bore us to death. Why don't you? And
Car
it's
guys
like,
are the horse girls, but they're boys.
yeah, sure. But it's like whenever people talk about shows, it's like, oh, people are like so into it. It's like, oh, like that's a fascinating thing. It's like people like the amount of show recommendations I get.
Yeah.
It's like if I watched every show I've been recommended to watch, how many shows would I have watched?
Many.
Like 1 million.
Yeah.
Like a lot. It feels like.
It's funny. Like I don't obviously I'm not a huge sports person, but I feel that way about when people talk about sports, that it's like very universal and most people watch sports and keep up. Most people watch shows. You know, Claire and I watch shows, but I don't really talk to people about shows. It's kind of just like what we do when we eat dinner or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've watched most I've watched most of the popular shows. It's fun.
When people, when I meet another Kardashian watcher, it's like kind of unleashes like I mean, I could talk to them about that for hours.
Yeah.
It's just such a fascinating show to me.
Yeah.
Gracie, I don't know have we talked about that on the podcast before, that I'm a Kardashian watcher?
I don't know if we've talked about it publicly.
Oh, well, for all the listeners, Gracie watched the Kardashians because her friends, Gracie and her friends from college have this like weird subculture amongst them where they're like really into pop culture. And I don't really understand it, but Gracie's friends were watching the new Kardashians when it came on Hulu because it's a lot better than Keeping Up with the Kardashians whenever it was on like TMZ or I don't know what it was. But anyways, Gracie was watching it and it kind of became one of those things where I would like kind of glance over whenever something crazy would happen. And then I would like, you know, my glances became longer and longer and longer until I like looked at Gracie one day and I was like, so when are you watching your next episode? Like so over the course of like 2 seasons, I got into it and now we watch it. We watched last night over dinner. We watched a new episode and Courtney had her child in it and it was crazy. The amount of her giving birth was on this. Like I was like, I should not be. We watched her like we didn't see anything on the south side.
Yeah.
But like on the north side, like we watched her face when she gave her final push and whenever the baby like was handed to her and she like had her first moment with her child with like Travis. And I was like,
that shouldn't be on like
live television. It was the most captivating thing I've watched in a long time, but I was also like, it was so captivating. I was like, I was having a moral dilemma while I was watching it. I was like, I feel like this is one of the only things on earth. It's like the beginning of life and death should be like only reserved for like the people that it like directly applies to.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing to experience. I was like, Gracie, I'll be honest, like I really was hoping that you'd be the first person I saw do this. Now I don't see Kourtney Kardashian do it. Anyways, Kardashians, great show if you're wanting to be just absolutely flabbergasted for the entirety of how much money they have.
I think that's one of the most uncharacteristic things of you.
I fully agree.
Very much
watch
so.
That.
Most off-brand trait.
Also, do you watch not Love Island? You watch one of those shows, don't you? One of the like dating shows.
Bachelorette.
That's what it is. Bachelorette. Don't you watch that?
No, I did watch Love on the Spectrum. We talked about that. I watched like 2 episodes of it. I used to watch Love Island. Whenever I lived in North Carolina, we watched like 2 or 3 seasons. But that's one of those shows that like it affects my brain like way more than it It should. I start because they are so vain on that show.
Yeah.
It's absurd. Like they only care about like followers and looks and like ability to like turn each other on. And like I slowly start thinking in that way. I'm like I start associating value with people with like how attractive they are, how many followers they have.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to turn into this. Same way I feel about Curb Your Enthusiasm. I have to just watch because I just turn into Larry David whenever I watch
Super
Curb Your
cynic.
Enthusiasm. Yeah, I turn into a huge cynical person. I hate myself whenever I do it. So yeah, but Love Island is the most entertaining show ever.
I positively cannot stand reality TV. Like every time it's on, I just can't. I can't listen to these people. I'm like, you're all stupid.
Yeah,
It's not real.
but like Maddie Matheson and the Bear and like they're not stupid at all. They're like super cool.
I mean, I don't know if super cool, but I see them as like telling a story instead of just being like dramatic.
I think Maddie Matheson is super cool.
Oh yeah, Maddie Matheson's like the coolest
He's
person
like
ever.
hands down my favorite actor in that whole thing.
I didn't even know that he
Because
was in
he's
that
like-
show. I only watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't think he
directed.
ever was in that show in the first 2 episodes.
He may not have been.
When does he come in?
If not, then right after.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's
what
like
part does he play?
Yeah. No, he's like one of the cousins of the guy who owns the whole thing, and he's in it all the time. He comes in as like their handyman.
I had
he's like the
just gotten to the
unemployed-
part where like he found in like a tomato jar like a note.
Big deal.
Yeah,
That was a
Huge
big part.
deal.
or something like that.
Spoiler alert.
And
No, he's like the unemployed cousin who like comes in and always tries to like do handyman work and get paid for it. Like, that's
love
kind of
it.
his character.
Yeah. Then he.
And then it
becomes a
progresses.
chef.
His
A lot of character development.
develops
Yeah.
from
He's
there.
great.
Yeah, that was. We ran into Kyle Bowman, friend of the pod. Shout out Kyle. Grace and I ran into Kyle and AT marriage. Let's freaking go at Target yesterday, and we talked about. They're like, guys, new season of The Bear dropped. Have y'all been watching it? And we were like, we had no idea the new season of Bear dropped.
Yeah.
Hence the show thing. We always talk about shows with other couples.
Yeah.
And they were like, we watched 3 episodes of it yesterday, and the episodes are an hour. So like, I was like, dang, bro, y'all are wild. They also just went to Martha's Vineyard, and they like
did.
loved it.
Yeah.
which I guess kind
And
of
they
checks
went
out
to
with Kyle, but
Nantucket.
oh yeah, they told us that too. But
Do you remember the beef you had with me regarding the Bear?
I'm trying to remember.
So when I lived up in Knoxville last year, didn't know many people there at all, and started watching The Bear. Watched all of season 1, all of season 2. Moved back to Birmingham, and loved every bit of it. I was all about it. Wouldn't shut up about it, and refused to watch the last episode of season 2 for months because it was. I don't know why I reacted this way. I didn't want it to end so badly. I wanted to know.
That's crazy.
I wanted to know it was there when I wanted it, and it took me a while. And you were like, "They're gonna make a season 3." I was like, "I know," but it was so good. And that final episode of season 2 was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Have you started season 3?
I started it just the other day with Ella. Watched about 15 minutes of it, and then we both were like, "We're going to bed. I'm tired."
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those shows which I really love that you have to be.
It's like beautiful. That's what people
so
say.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. Also, whoever does their costume design, fantastic.
Brilliant.
So
Whoever does the cinematography, fantastic.
Is it like Fantastic Mr. Fox? Whereas like if it wasn't beautiful, like would it still be good? Because I feel like Fantastic Mr. Fox, like if it wasn't beautiful, like it wouldn't be that good.
No, I think it'd still be good. The plot.
I like the
plot
plot.
itself is great.
I think the story is really good.
I also love. How do we said it? I love Maddie Matheson.
Do you have Adless Hulu?
No,
Do you have Adless Hulu?
I wish.
No one. That is so
the
fascinating.
2 minutes is so.
No
long.
one has Adless Hulu.
Do you know anyone that has Adless YouTube?
My brother.
That's crazy.
You don't?
No, I don't have
I thought
YouTube
you
Premium.
I told Claire as soon as she starts making money, that's my like one subscription that I want.
Yeah. I'm like bad. I have way too many subscriptions. I don't even know what my logins are. It's like I gotta figure that out. I think I added up one time. I spend like $45 a month on random subscriptions.
I got
You know what can help with that?
Peacock.
What?
Rocket
Rocket
money.
Morton.
Do they track that stuff for real?
Yeah,
that's their whole ad campaign.
Their ad is that they like find hidden subscriptions.
Oh wow.
I was gonna fake ad them. 'Cause I thought it was funny.
Shout out
This
Rocket
episode.
Mortgage. Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just feel like I have so many different cards and crap. It's like I feel like part of the bank, the world's bank, part of their motive is to just like make me do so much stuff it confuses me, and I'm like, bah, I don't know if we care.
Yep.
Kind of like
That's
Charter
how it's-
making it literally the most impossible thing on earth to get to unsubscribe from Charter Internet.
Yeah.
Gosh, you have to talk to like 800 people to unsubscribe.
That's like the
Great
business
SNL
model of Planet Fitness or like one of those gyms is like, oh, it's only like $10 a month.
And they
I'll
never
go
have
eventually, and then you
And then
like,
they feed you pizza every Friday night.
yeah, and then you never
I
go,
fell
but
prey
you
to
never. Did you actually go?
Oh, bro, I was a member of the Purple Palace all through high school.
Wow,
That was when I was like
Purple Palace.
actually fit.
Yeah,
Fit.
proper
Do
fit.
they actually
Boba
serve
Fett.
pizza every Friday night?
Every Friday they serve pizza
And it's for free.
because people were like, "Oh, I could." They literally have said, "Well, have our subscription, come to the gym, and if you don't, come get a pizza, and it'll cover the cost."
Wow. That is
Crazy.
fascinating. So you
Crazy.
can literally take a whole pizza home if you want.
Yeah, you paid for it.
That's crazy. I hate gym culture. That's one thing that I just absolutely
I'm not
hate.
about it.
Yeah, I don't really. I've
Frick
never been
you,
to Planet
Craig.
Fitness. Yeah. Well, that's not what I mean. Like,
No, I'm joking,
I feel
I'm
like
joking.
gyms with classes are great.
Yeah,
Because people are like, you know, I don't really know why, but it just seems like more of a
It's more
team
structured.
environment or something. Like everybody's like, come on, like let's
Yeah.
go. But like whenever it's like an individual, like it's just an open
like a
gym,
YMCA.
free weight.
yeah,
gym.
free weight gym. It's like it's a huge contest, and I
Yeah.
just hate it. It's like yo, you using that machine? It's like I'm literally
hate
on
that.
it. Like just give me a
Dude.
second.
I was at the YMCA one time. This really ruffled my feathers. I I was on like the lat pull down machine or whatever. You know, 2 arms up, pull down, whatever. There are 3 of them in the Y on Shades Valley.
Okay.
This old guy comes up to me. He's like, it kind of bugs me, pokes me. I have headphones in. I was like, huh? He's like, how many more sets do you have? I was like, 2. He's like, mind if I hop in? I was like, okay. So I do my sets or my reps. He sits down, he does his. I turn around, both of the other machines are available. So I just walked over and got on one of the other machines. I was like, I'm not gonna swap with this like sweaty old rude guy.
He probably then showed his butt in the locker room. Like
Yeah.
a freak.
He was the guy.
I bet he was just trying to look for a friend, bro.
He was like kind of rude to me. I made it out like he was polite.
You were the first
he was
person
not.
to talk to in weeks.
Yeah, he was not very nice to me.
He's like, this guy over here, he looks like a punk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go screw with him.
Me with my, I always wear like an oversized T-shirt. I don't want to look like I'm there to.
You didn't rock
Get
Gymshark
buff.
the
No,
whole time.
no, absolutely.
One
not.
brand that just irrationally frustrates me, Gymshark.
Yeah,
No reason. I'm sure it's great,
Yeah.
but
I think
anytime
their logo
I see
is bad.
Gymshark, I'm like, are you serious? Like this is like
I don't know
when you
how
buy-
it blew up.
when you get 4 shorts for $30. That doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah,
That actually means the opposite.
yeah.
They have a store at the Summit. I'm like, how are they
Really?
making enough money to have a store at the Summit?
Bro, you don't understand.
Sweatshops.
Gym culture is
Gymsharked out.
terrifying. It's all Gymshark.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me.
That
Anyways.
the dude who started that company is like 27 or something.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Good on him, man.
Yeah, he
Get
started
on
it.
him.
I listened to like
mate.
I listened to him tell his story one time in a video. He was like working at Pizza Hut and like running Gymshark as an online shop, and it was like doing nothing, and then like some trade show he met like the right person,
Yeah.
and then it just went.
That kind of reminds me of this guy that was working at Domino's for a while and actually ran the best Domino's in the entire nation. Like the most efficient, like crazy
I
good
heard
at his
that.
job.
I think
And
I
then
heard that.
he had an aspiration to go on and do insurance for churches.
Yeah,
How do you
What was his
remember
name?
that, bro?
Because he had a
Domino's
crazy
Domino's.
crazy limited edition Domino's Rolex.
Talking about my father.
Shane.
My dad, number one. We got to have him on the pod. Just talk to him about Domino's.
We got to get him to come
Nothing
do
about
it.
insurance.
I feel like he doesn't. Do you think he would come do this?
I don't know. I
this
feel like if we
point?
tricked him into it, he would. But yeah,
Because I think
he would
said
never be
no
like
before.
he would never volunteer for
Right.
it. He, like literally, I was like, Dad, we gotta have you on the pod. And he's like, you don't want to have me on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't want.
I literally just asked you to be on the podcast. He was like, I was like, bro, you're an idiot right now.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Domino's. And
I mean,
pickleball.
he's one of the people we talk about the most.
He literally is like, he thinks he's like the least fascinating person in the world, and he's like genuinely maybe one of the more fascinating people I've ever met in my life. He's such a good guy. Love
funny.
Dad. Loved him in the. But anyway, we talked about this earlier. But seeing him and Sam, my brother Sam works for my dad, and seeing them interact, like I really think they're like not in a good place right now.
No, I don't think so.
Like it
If I
was.
had to guess.
It was like, man, are they like they need to, like, because they've been working together. I mean, how long has my brother been
He's
working
been there
together?
like
6
5
years.
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
No, dude, my brother's been there for 6 years because his 10-year like high school anniversary is like this. It's like happening in December,
Yeah.
which means that my 10-year
he's
is
old.
happening next year, which
That's
is freaking crazy to me. But yeah, he's like he's an
nuts.
old dude, but they're doing it. He's like excited about it. I'm definitely not going to mine, but like
No.
Sam's.
I forget how
into
much
it.
older you are than I am.
Yeah,
I literally
You
have
also think about it. You're not that far away from it either, man.
6 years.
No, 5. Your first year post grad now.
I just started post grad.
Yeah.
like a month ago.
But it's on the 10th year. It's not like after the 10th year. It's
Oh, yeah.
on the 10th year. So,
Halfway there.
but also
I'm
I
6 years out.
didn't know this, but the class president
Has to plan it.
plans it.
Yeah.
I don't remember who my class president was. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I know who the student council president was because he absolutely rigged that freaking election. It's actually
By the way.
hilarious. That is a high school story. There's this one guy named I think it was Will Starnes. Will Starnes was like, he was one of the weird guys in there. He was like you think like we all loved him. That's why we wanted him to be student council. He also deserved it. He was a super smart guy. But he was like, if he was on the Breakfast Club, he'd be like the nerd.
Yeah.
But he was like super kind dude. His mom was like the computer tech teacher. His dad like played trumpet in the in like the church choir orchestra thing. But anyways, Will was like really into band. He played trombone. Good dude. But he was like pretty socially awkward, like weird dude, but super smart. And this other guy named Nate was like just like brown nosed all the teachers. Like everybody liked Nate, but he kind of was just like a popularity contest kind of guy. And anyways, Nate was like the vice president the year before to the guy that was a senior. Like, so we were rising senior, so we were like ending our junior year, and we have these speeches for like student council president, and we had made it trend like Will start like Nate wanted to run unopposed. Like Nate thought that everybody knew Nate was supposed to get this. It's kind of like how my high school worked. Was like you kind of like fall in line and whatever. Anyways, so Nate wants to run unopposed, and then Will starts is like, I'm running. I'm going to do it. Because he's like, he's socially, like he's unaware. He's just like going to do
everyone's
his
like,
own thing.
"Oh,
And
let's
we're
go."
like, wait, like, because, you know, like I love Nate now. If I saw him, I'd like say what's up. But like at the time, I was like, dude, like Nate sucks. Like let's freaking like down with the patriarchy,
Yeah.
whatever. And Rage Against the Machine, and because like, and also like mainly like the woman Miss Adams who ran student council. Like we all hated her. She was like the math teacher. She's super annoying. She actually sat in front of me at a Birmingham Legion game like this past year. Didn't say hey.
Did you
I
spit
was
on her?
like,
Nice.
I was like, dude, I don't like you. Like I didn't like you in high school. It makes me still not like you now.
Yeah.
Like that's how much like she annoyed me.
Yeah.
But anyway, she ran student council, and she was definitely like a popularity contest teacher. And so we were like, really, it was like we wanted to put Will with like Miss Adams all year because
Yeah.
we loved Will, but like we knew that it would like frustrate the heck out of Miss Adams. So we like at the speeches like Will went up to give his speech, and whenever he finished his speech, we all went absolutely nuts. Like the amount of people that were like so stoked. Like we have like probably 330 people in our graduating class. Like half of them stood up and we were like, "Let's freaking go."
That's so funny.
awesome.
And so we were like, you could tell by the amount of people that stood up, like he was gonna win the election. And then Nate just like his name was on the ballot, and we were like, literally how? But apparently it's because Miss Adams just like completely rigged it. Anyways, funny high school story there.
Scummy.
There you go. Should have called it the Stephen High School stories that don't matter segment. There it is.
And the lesson we learned is that there's tyranny everywhere, even in Gardendale.
Tyranny literally everywhere.
Yeah, actually, that list segment, which was kind of a failure, those questions actually were like not that bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess also like it takes interesting people to make interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So if you ask dumb questions, you can kind of get around to the fun answer.
Everybody's interesting. You gotta dig sometimes. But
yeah, some people
No,
it takes more digging.
I like asking people. Like, what have you been loving recently?
Yeah.
Not necessarily like what have you been like. Are y'all doing anything fun? Are y'all cooking? Are y'all running? Or whatever? Because I feel like everybody's got a little side gig that they're like either desiring to get more into. People love talking about desiring to get into things, stuff they're desiring to get into as
I'm
well.
real good at that.
Like they don't really rarely are because if somebody's like actually training for a marathon, they're gonna be like, this absolutely sucks. I hate it.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
terrible.
Kate Mayfield
Ran 9 miles the other day.
and she was like,
that freaking sucks.
That's
she was
hard.
like, yeah,
In
dude.
this weather?
Oh man, in this weather. Anyways, guys, we're running a little high here, so outro music isn't playing. Oh wait, no, this one. There we
There
go.
it
Anyways, this is a great sode.
Good said.
Thanks
Good
for hanging,
sode.
guys.
Good pod sode.
Fun times.
We wanted to have Cole back because he's supposed to be a co-host. Because anyone who comes on is supposed to be a co-host, and we kind of fell off on actually making that
I think
happen.
the way the podcast is going to run, if you're actually here listening in an hour and 41, you actually care about this. The way the pod is going to kind of drift now is we are going to still have guests, but we've kind of realized getting super interesting guests on at this point is just like really, it's just really hard to schedule with them because usually when people are super successful, it means they have really busy schedules. There's a good correlation there. So, anyways, we are going to just kind of be hanging out with the crew, the typical crew. The crew is like pretty much everybody that's been on thus far, and then sprinkled in there, we'll schedule, and we're thinking we're gonna just do an episode every week from now on, and not do seasons. So
we're gonna always record every week.
Yeah,
and sometimes that'll be with.
Hopefully we'll stockpile that way.
The local coffee shop owner, and then sometimes that'll be
the Bad Boy Chiller crew.
Chiller crew.
I actually don't remember where they're from. Stockport, England, something like that. Liverpool.
Liverpool.
So.
Le Peloton in Paris. We got to get Le Peloton to sponsor us. That'd be hype.
That would be crazy.
On a
We
side
can
note,
just like do a podcast whilst on bikes.
did you see that Valor went to Sadai?
That
in
was
Japan?
insane.
That was the sickest thing ever.
That was crazy.
So cool.
Valor, the coffee shop in Atlanta that we really like, and we're friends with the
have
owners.
them on.
We
That'd be
should.
fantastic.
We need to go to Atlanta to interview them.
Dang.
But Ethan and one of the other baristas there went and
Ari.
Ari went and just ran the coffee shop for what was the cafe?
It's called Sadai.
In Japan.
I'm likely fully saying that wrong.
Honestly,
but
knowing them, like, are we even surprised? They do the coolest crap on
I
earth.
started
like, all
following
the
that
time.
account 3 days before Valor was like, "We're going," and I was
No
like,
way.
"What are the odds?"
That's crazy.
Is it typically that way? Like where other cafes are like running their space?
No, it's
Oh, wow.
typically this girl.
What's that
runs
called?
it.
It's called like a. It's called like a.
Co-coffee space.
I was going to say a collab.
No, it's like it's not an. Dang, it's like not a facilitation. It's like a something like that. There's like
Residency
there's
or something?
Residency. There you go. There's like residencies, but I've only experienced that at espresso machine showrooms. Like like at La Marzocco in Seattle, they have a showroom.
Yeah.
And La Marzocco is the most popular espresso machine like on earth.
On
And
Period.
anyways, they have people there, and I've been there a few times, and they've had Veracruz out of San Francisco. They've had, I can't remember the name of it. It was somebody from Japan, and that was there for a month doing, like, running their cafe using, like, their machines. So, really cool stuff, man. Shout out Valor. If you're in the North Atlanta area, you should go. If you go anywhere else, you're stupid. And you should go to El Rey, the taco place, because I miss that crap daily.
Yeah.
It is so freaking good. Oh.
And if you are in Marietta but not in Alpharetta, you should go to Tuesday.
Yeah. Any other ones?
Tuesday.
All my friends in Atlanta go to Academic, or is that what it's called? The one in, like, downtown. They serve black and white. If you're in Raleigh, go to
I don't remember.
Go to black and white downtown location, preferably.
If you're in Birmingham, go to
June Coffee.
We should have an hour-and-a-half long episode where we just say, if you're in this city, you should go
to our friends who ask us.
coffee.
Oh, speaking of, Christian Rosenberger
Yeah.
went to Canyon in Echo Park, Los
No
Angeles
way.
today. Yeah, I told him about it yesterday, and he went, and I was like, I'm so jealous.
Cool.
Yeah, he also went to a place in Venice called I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a specialty brewer. He, like, only makes pour overs, and it's like, it was like, he said it was the best coffee he's ever had in his life. So if you're in Venice, go to that place. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening today. Cheerio, then.
Cheerio, dude.
Welcome to the secret segment of the podcast. Dang it. Welcome to the secret segment of the podcast. We want to hang our microphones like this now. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit with Cole about this over my favorite song of late, Praise Jah in the Moonlight.
Great song.
One thing
So fun.
that I fell in love with in Hawaii, reggae music. Everyone there was listening to reggae. It was fascinating to me.
Reggaeton.
Specifically, the song "Pass the Dutchie" by Musical Youth. Unbelievably good song. Give that song a listen. I'll play it if Praise Jah in the Moonlight goes off. But is this guy related to Bob Marley?
Yep.
Who is
It's his. It's either grandson or like nephew or something like that. I think
Interesting.
it's grandson.
Hey, shout out YG Marley. Good guy, from what I've heard. Get
That's
it?
what they say.
I've never seen him before, but I've heard him. Why do you think this is my one freaking question for today, because we talked about British people some, because you're like Love Island. Why do you think when British people sing, they sound American? Why do you think when Australian people sing, they sound American? Why do you think when French people sing in English, they sound American? Why do you think when African people sing in English, they sound American? What's up with that, bro?
Given my background in music and studying that for the past
In
5
depth.
years, it really has to do. And my friend Genevieve Waller, speech pathology.
Right.
She studied vocal cords for a second, so I learned a little bit about that. And yeah, they're just faking it, from what I've heard.
I kind of love whenever like a British girl singing and she's like a little like British like
I will not. I will
Like, let's
never
freaking
want
go.
to put my fist through a wall faster than hearing Florence in the Machine be like. It pisses me off.
That's right. That's why you like Fast Car by
That's why I like
Luke Bryan
NASCAR.
more.
Luke Bryan.
Who's it by?
Luke Combs.
Luke Combs, whatever. Zach Bryan, Luke Combs, Luke Bryan, they're all the same.
Zach Combs.
That comes. Well, hey, just somebody. If you want to make it big in country right now, fake your name, call yourself Zach Combs. Go do it. People accidentally.
Call yourself Jelly Bean.
Are any of those like super popular guys going to be at the Coleman one this year?
Surely. I feel like. Isn't it Rock the South?
Rock the
Isn't that-
South, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Zach Bryan's there.
Do you know Rock the South started as a tornado fundraiser?
That's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, and then it just was such a big deal. They kept doing it, and it's one of the only profitable music festivals in the whole state.
That's pretty cool.
Fascinating.
That's good. That's
crazy.
a good factoid right there.
Good factoid. Another fascinating thing about Coleman, Lambert's, like home of the throne roll. You ever been there?
Overrated. Never been. Don't want to.
Have you heard about it though? It's
I know what it is.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
No.
They toss a roll at you. It's
Yeah,
their whole
essentially
shtick.
they come out with rolls, and then if you like raise your hand, they throw the rolls like across the entire. It's like the size of Cracker Barrel. No walls though, but like
If you-
they'll just
if you
throw
have
a
to-
roll like 30 yards.
If you have to market your whole restaurant off of,
Participation.
Yeah.
And getting
you don't
your
deserve
food.
to open a restaurant.
It's like a big thing.
Oh, you want to
amongst,
roll?
Like
Oop, catch it.
you have to.
Yeah.
You can kind of pass it on the way to Panama City Beach and on the way to Gulf Shores.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's like for people, the typical demographic of
Yeah.
people that go to Panama City and Gulf Shores, they like
Yeah.
freaking love Lambert's Home of the Throne Roll, and those people typically live in places like Coleman.
Yep.
And so
Or
Coleman is
Gardendale.
getting a Lambert
Let's go.
because they want to pull from the Huntsville crowd and the Birmingham crowd.
Well, you
guess who
know,
they're not getting? Yo, boy.
Birmingham.
when
They're not
you're
getting
coming from
cold.
Huntsville down to 30A, you could stop at Lambert's
for lunch.
for lunch, and
And
then when
Lambert's
you
for
get down
dinner.
there, you can go to dinner at Lambert's.
You could stop at
Home
Buc-ee's
of
if
the
you're coming
throne
from
roll.
if you're coming from Huntsville or Nashville. You could stop at Buc-ee's 3 times now.
Yeah.
In Decatur, Birmingham.
It's funny
and
hearing other
let's go.
people describe Buc-ee's when they are like not from the South or haven't ever gone.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember who I was listening to, but I was listening to some podcast and someone described it as like Walmart if it was a gas station,
I've always heard. Yeah, that's the
which
best
I
description.
think was really funny.
That's the best description.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I like loved it at first, and now I just
Yeah.
like I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but I'm just not the biggest fan. I genuinely every time I pass by it, I go there for gas now because it's
They have
wildly
great gas.
cheaper.
Great price.
We had a whole bit about it.
Cheaper.
We had a bit because we would go
Oh,
to
yeah.
Buc-ee's like pretty.
They're trying to go to
regularly in
Buc-ee's. I need a
college.
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, our bit
Just
was
random
You all
crap.
want to go to Buc-ee's? I'm trying to get some, and then it was because you can get anything there. Like you,
Yo,
an
trying to go to Buc-ee's. I gotta
ATV.
get a.
I gotta get a
industrial, freaking forklift.
Yeah, y'all trying to go to Buc-ee's? I'm trying to get some home decor.
Because Buc-ee's literally has so much crap, and it's like they have a deer feeder. It's like who's like I understand why the people in Buc-ee's would buy a deer feeder. It's like who's going to Buc-ee's? Like that means people are going and they're like have no plans to buy a deer feeder, and they see a deer feeder, they're like, I would need one of those.
Yeah,
It's like what?
yeah.
How do they do that?
Not to be that guy. If you had their chicken tenders,
Dude,
Their
their food is
food's
gas.
good.
super
Their
good.
food gives
Their
me
food-
the
their food's-
squirts, but it is so good.
Their food's good going in. It's good going in. That's what we'll
Shoot,
stipulate.
I actually just started the song over with my toe.
Yeah.
Oh, the dogs are the turn of the music. Hey guys, thanks for listening today. We learned it here live from Cole via Genevieve that when British people talk or when British people sing in English, they're faking it,
It's a
which
lie.
means the imperial meaning of that is that everyone kind of recognizes the American accent as superior,
White man.
America.
White man.
except for Hawaii.
Yeah.
America.
Hey,
USA.
let's go.
USA. July 4th was a few days ago.
July 4th was a few days ago,
The
and
best holiday on earth.
signing out. I'm Cole Edens, and I love Hawaii.